All right, good evening, everyone. Hold on, let me see. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our first session of the dyslexia training on the practical multi-sensory teaching approach. My name is Rosalind Abigail Trenate, and I am the Executive Director for the Africa Dyslexia Organization. And we have our fantastic instructor for this session, Dr. C.R. Bernard, which she's located all the way in New York. But thanks to technology, she's able to connect with us on the continent to give us training. So we are just starting now, and she'll be the last to introduce herself, and then she takes us through the training. And so if I call you from how I see on the screen, then you briefly say where your name, what you do, which organization you belong, or what even inspired you to sign up for this training. And so we'll go to Gifty. Gifty, introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Gifty Nanaya Roxanne, a lecturer at University of Education, Winneba. I'm in the Department of Special Education. And so I teach students with various needs. My area of specialty is in education for the visually impaired and the deafblind. However, being into special education, dyslexia is part of it. So I just want to sharpen my skills. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know we're going to have a very interesting, interactive, connecting 5 weekend sections with Dr. Bernard. And so I want you to just bring all your notebooks and gather your energy up, because we're going to learn. And I'll go to Irene for her to introduce herself.
Thank you. Good evening to you all once again. My name is Irene Korango. I'm in Accra. I'm with Queen's International School. It's located in East Legon. I'm the lead educator. You can say the head of all the teachers there. What inspired me is I came across some of my students who were very, very good, can express themselves, understand whatever you're teaching, but when you say right, then it becomes an issue. So when I chanced on dyslexia, in fact, it's Rosie who walked into our school and invited us to the launch of it. It was my first time hearing about it. Wow. And it blew me away. It blew me away. So I got to the CEO and I'm like, this is what we've been looking for. Because all this while we've been looking for a way to help these gentlemen in the school. So luckily, I wouldn't say we chanced on it. We were blessed to have Rosalind to come along and get us to understand. So that is why we are here. And here we are to stay to learn. Thank you very much.
Welcome, welcome.
You are welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. And I'm excited. Your school is so eager to get all the resources and stuff to support the kiddos over there. So I'm very excited about Queen's International School. It's a great stuff to begin with. So I applaud you all, and also greetings to Miss Rose, who has made this possible.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. I will go to Beatu to introduce herself. You can unmute yourself. Hudiatu, are you there? Her video looks frozen. Okay, if she's not hearing me, we go to Gabriel to. Okay, she's.
Please, did you mention? Okay.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Hudea Turau, but you can just call me Huda for short. And I am currently doing my MPhil in developmental psychology at Legon. And what actually inspired me was I taught for a while before I went back to school after my undergrad, and I worked in a preschool level. So I worked with, starting when I started the school, I noticed that there was a boy who was turning 3. He wasn't writing, he wasn't doing anything. He wasn't writing, he wasn't doing anything. So I just said, okay, maybe this child, hi. So I just told myself maybe this boy could be my personal project. And today he's doing marvelous. A few months ago, I saw his mom sent me his report and said, look at your boy. I mean, when I look at his literacy grade and the other stuff, I felt very proud and very accomplished. And I feel like there is more we can all do, or I can do, to support children like this. So that's really my inspiration to want to learn more. Basically, thank you.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you here. And so just sit well, relax, get yourself ready, and we will take off very soon. Please, the instruction is to put on your video. Please, this is very important. It's part of the requirement. If you had this in person, everybody would be seeing your face. And so it is essential you do that. Please, let's respect the rules. Thank you. I would go to Gabriel to introduce himself.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And I hope I can be heard by everyone.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm Gabriel Opoku, and fortunately, I have the same background as Miss Irene. I work with Queen's International School at Legon, and I am majorly in English studies. So I teach, I think, almost all the aspects of English language and at various levels. Okay, so with regard to inspiration to take this program, I am an advocate of inclusivity, okay, in education. So it is this ideological stance that has motivated my participation. And my school, I mean, it's Madame Rose, you've mentioned her. Yeah, she also is very keen on inclusivity in education, and that is how come we are here. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will quickly move on to Fiona. Fiona, introduce yourself.
Hello. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. So please, yeah, my name is Fiona Mom from Missions Pediatrics or Missions Clinic, and what motivated me to join this program is that, okay, I'm already involved in the, taking care of children with special needs. Please forgive my background, and taking care of children with special needs, and then, like children on the spectrum and everything. But what I realized is that some of the children find it difficult to write. And so, as someone mentioned earlier, it's not the child doesn't know. The child knows exactly what to say if you saw the child, but sometimes you see they send the letters, mix it up and stuff. So I know that joining this would help me make even better positive impact in the lives of children I've already touched and the ones I'm yet to touch. So yes.
Very nice. Thank you so much for joining us. Really, yeah, very excited to have you. We will go on to Ifoma to introduce herself.
Okay, good evening. Can everybody hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, good evening. So my name is Ifoma Odita. So I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. And the reason why I'm here is, well, my journey as a, would I say teacher, or my journey into education started with my twins, who were born with some slight delays. And then on getting to school age, they actually had no speech for a while. So they were 4.5 and 5 years each. And then, so that took me on a long journey. So I had to leave the corporate world to go into education. But I went into education as an admin. But being an admin, I had a very inclusive boss who pushed me into all the trainings, everything, my PGC. All over the years, I've had to work with, especially my twins, would I say they're my pet projects. They're going to be 19 sometime in November. But with the younger one, I've always had to, it took us a while to read. She didn't read, she was like 7.5. Even now, at the level of A levels, it's a real struggle because words which I think would ordinarily be simple come, well, for her, literacy has always been a big issue. So I got into education and I own a school, and over the years, the need seems just to be growing. You see so many kids who otherwise I would say would be very intelligent, but they have problems with understanding, comprehension. So for me, it's personal, and also it's a two-way thing as a parent and as an educator. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Wow, this is so inspiring. I realized that it is always when, like a lot of people I've met in this community, it's always when something is really close to you. I am doing what I'm doing because I went through like very terrible life journey going through school. And that's what has inspired me to be on this journey. So I could help create something to support children because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
And so for your story of your children, I know it's not going to end just with your children, but it's going to change the lives of many. And so I really thank you and I appreciate you for being here because what you're going to gain, it's just going to impact a lot of people. So God bless you. Okay, so we will move on to Florence. Florence, you can unmute and introduce yourself.
Okay, good evening to you all. Please, my name is Florence Bayo, and I'm a teacher in the mainstream. I was challenged to join this particular program because of the kind of children I do get every year. It's like every year I get children with some sort of challenges, delay, and they're like. So I decided to join and get more insight in and more method to teach this children. Thank you.
Thank you, Florence. Thank you so much, especially for a teacher being in the mainstream. You sponsoring yourself to be here, that is quite applaudable. And thank you for joining us. We will go ahead to hear from Barbara, and then we go to Victoria. And is it, I don't want to mess up your name. Is it Blesson? Then we will come to Blesson and then Judith. So let's be brief to do this. Then Dr. Bernard will take over and introduce herself and start the journey with us. So Victoria, unmute yourself. Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Can you
evening.
hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. My name is Victoria Seshi. I am an early learning advocate here in Ghana. What I do is I promote early childhood learning among young parents. And once in a while, I get inquiries regarding dyslexia cases, speech delay, and all that. So I believe coming on board to gain more insight in turn will help me help those parents that come with such concerns and be in a better position to help them better. So that's the reason why I'm here, just to support the work I am currently doing here in Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it a lot. Barbara, you can go ahead and unmute to introduce yourself.
Okay. I'm Barbara Sobo Asante. Since 2011, I've been in the field of specific learning difficulties, helping children in such areas, working with NGOs, helping children that have dropped out of school because of SPLDs. I've been involved in training of teachers and others. It's mainly my area of passion. So I really love to get more knowledge about it. That's why I'm here to enrich myself and also make myself useful in giving out help to children with specific learning difficulties in Ghana.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Judy, if you can unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Judith, are you here with us?
Yes. Good evening. Please, I'm Judith and I'm a teacher in Accra, Gold Avenue School. I teach first grade, that is class 1. And that is actually what inspired me to be here. Most of the time, I receive students who are struggling. And I remember when I was going to school, I have to struggle throughout my educational life, throughout SS to university to read, until I discovered phonics, Jolly Phonics, and I realized that there's actually a way to read. So I started learning how to read and all that to at least to perfect my reading. So I tend to understand what the children are going through and what they will go through if they are not able to read and read well. So I started searching online, and then one day I discovered your page, and then I saw it and decided to sign up so that I can do it and do it if I have to do it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. And Blessing, can you unmute and introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Jedidia Blessing Kwarikwa. I'm with Mission Pediatrics, and I'm at a special education department. And this program, I'm being sponsored for this training program by Mission Pediatrics so that we could learn about dyslexia and then other general learning disorders and how to help children living with this condition. So being here, I hope to acquire new skills to equip my practice. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. So now that everybody has introduced themselves, once again, I just want to welcome you to this session of dyslexia training on the practical multi-sensory teaching approach. So I'm handing it over to our instructor, Dr. Sierra Bernard, so that she can introduce herself and take you through the training. So once again, welcome. Bernard, over to you.
Good afternoon to everyone. And you have the first thing that you need to be here today. Sounds like everybody's motivated. I took notes, and I'm very pleased that it wasn't your mom told you had to come. So it tells me that you plan to be involved and to learn about this, because I am very, very excited about the subject of dyslexia. That's my specialty. That's my major. I was the only reading specialist at where I worked at Catherine Labouré. And when I got there, they'd never had a reading specialist before. I mean, how many schools have a reading specialist? You know, that they just hire a reading specialist and that person doesn't do any. I hated going into the classroom. I'm not a classroom. I did classroom teaching, but I don't like being a classroom teacher. I know some of you are looking at me funny. I don't like being a classroom teacher. It's too complicated. You have to deal with too many problems, the children and their parents and their issues, and I don't want to do that. When I was younger, that was fine. At this point in my life, no. So what I did something that they had never, done before. I kind of took on the mantle of, okay, let's find everybody here who has a reading problem. That's kind of what I did. So it was a small school because it was a special education school. So every bunch of students that came in every single year, I tested them. So by the end of, let's say, 2 weeks, the principal knew everything she had. She knew what grade level, because they mixed them up, not by age, but by grade level. In other words, if you're 10 and you only function at a second grade level, that's where you're going to be, because it's a special school just for that. And when you know who you're teaching, it makes all the difference in the world. And we're going to get to that for our next session. It is so important. I would not teach a child if I don't know how that child is functioning. I need to know the present level of performance in every area, in math, in science, in social studies. I need to know, do you have a problem across the board, or do you just have a reading problem? Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I don't like to talk about myself. Anybody who knows me knows that. I'm just happy to give you my name and move on. But I started teaching when I was 17. Well, let me tell you my background, where I came from. I came from the most beautiful place in the world. I came from an island. You can Google it and you'll see. If you put it in, it'll just come up as beautiful. Okay, the name of the island is Antigua. Okay, don't do it now, but when you get home, Google it and you'll see beauty like you've never seen. I started teaching when I was 17. Back then when you could teach right out of high school, long ago. And then I left Antigua when I was 21. So I wasn't there for a long time to teach. I migrated to the United States. When you get to the United States, first I went to Trinidad. That's it. I went to Trinidad. That's where I met my husband. And then we migrated to the United States and we both attended college. I did bookkeeping for a while. Bookkeeping is not my baby. Bookkeeping is not my baby. Teaching is my love. And so eventually I did get back to teaching. I got a bachelor's degree from Naya College. And then I went on to St. John's University, where I got a master's degree in education. I remember after I got my master's in education, I felt like there's something more that was needed. I had been teaching for a while, and their parents were very happy with me. They were very happy with me. I mean, parents would bring me stuff. They were so happy. But after I did my master's, because that's the level that you have to have in order just to do the Orton Gillingham, just to start it, you have to be at that level. And once I started that, I'm like, whoa, what was I teaching all those other people before I did this? And I know I did my best because I was a reading specialist, certified with the state of New York. I was a reading specialist. But after I did the Orton Gillingham program, I'm like, whoa, this made all the difference in the world. And it has changed lives. Do you have that clip to show them of this little girl that I helped? I'll leave out her name because she's a teenager now.
Yeah, I am a moment.
I got her when she was 7. She was 7 years old. She was in the second grade. She was in the second grade and she knew nothing. Her teacher when you get the tape, I'll stop. Her teacher didn't know what to do, but I used to come into the school every day and I worked only with the children that were dyslexic or had reading difficulties. So she was in second grade and her teacher said to me, please, can you take a look at her? I said, I can't. I have a full load. I have a full load of children. This is another person, so I'll continue talking. I have a full load of students. This is her right here. She was in 2nd grade here. She has a tape and she volunteered to do it herself. When we were taping for the website, she volunteered. Did you get the tape with her alone speaking? Did you get the tape with her speaking?
No, that's the only tape I have.
With her? Okay, it was on the website. And she would explain to you, she knew nothing. The teacher told me, she said, she's sitting and looking at the board. She can't write anything that's on the board, but the teacher, and there are a lot of children you're going to find who are dyslexic that are very bright. They are gifted, talented. They have, but you're never going to find out until you break the ice. Until you break through that ice, you're never going to find out the gift or the gifts that those children have. And when I tested her, I said, I'm just going to test her, because I said to the teacher, listen, if I take on another student, my husband is going to divorce me. And she said, but just try. And I did. And this is how I get in trouble all the time. When somebody tells me, can you just look at them and see, just tell me, because they know that they're getting me hooked into it. And she said, then I looked at her, I tested her like I always do. I would never do anything with her unless I tested her. And I realized she's really dyslexic. She didn't know one word from the Dolch list. Okay, the Dolch is just A and away, big blue can come down, fine for funny, go here, help. She didn't know one word on that list. And I told her mom, okay, I'll take her. Because I knew, see, this is a child. And when you're teaching as a teacher, if you don't see every one of those children as you would your own child, you're in the wrong job. You're in the wrong, you need to see that that's a mother's dream right there. That's a father's dream. Nobody leaves the hospital with a baby saying, well, let me see how I can get this child to fail. No, everybody leaves. When that baby is born, you see that baby for the first time. You see all the dreams and the hopes, they're there. You're the teacher. You need to know that that's somebody's dream. I continued with her, and within 3 weeks, I'm going to say within 3 weeks, working with her with Orton Gillingham, a student teacher who was working in her classroom came over to me one afternoon after school, and she said, I want to know what it is you do. Whatever it is you do, I want to learn to do that, because I want children to start to learn like that. She saw her father could tell. When I'm going to see if I can get the tape, we can get the tape to bring it up for you to see it. Within 3 weeks, her parents saw the difference. And that was it. And she just went on and on and on and on. And by the time she got to the 4th grade, she began to be on the honor roll. And she was on the honor roll all the way through. Do you have that picture of her right now? The one I just sent you today.
Yeah, you can go ahead. I'm pulling it up.
Okay. Here she is now. She's like she's just one of my wonderful students. Such a wonderful person. And she is now 16 years old. She's 16 years old. Completed all of her credits, all of her regions, everything to go to college. There she is. 16 years old. So she's now going to have to sit at home for a year, because she's finished high school 1 year ahead of time. What would have happened? Tell me, what would have happened if her teacher hadn't said she needs help? If you're a teacher and there are children in your classroom that need help and you're not identifying them, you're losing them. And, yesterday I sent a picture to her teacher who's now retired. And, we all just talk about what a story. She sat there, didn't know what to do in class. This kid is brilliant. She's going to go into psychology. She wants to go into school psychology. Trust me, she can do anything she wants to do. She can be anything she wants to be. She's 60. Even when she goes to college next year, she will be 17 years with 6 months before her 18th birthday. She could have been easily a dropout. They could have probably just sent her maybe to do something that she can't read. Okay, so that is why I chose Orton. That is why I chose the Orton Gillingham program, because it has helped so many children. So many children. I have seen what can happen. But this is something you have to be committed to. You have to be committed to it. It's not a fast thing. If you're looking for a fast thing that, hey, I'm going to learn this thing and in 4 weeks, all my kids are going to be good. They're going to be where they're supposed to be. It's not going to happen. That's not how it works. Every child is different. And there's some kids that you just have to go on and on. There's one student I'm thinking about right now. It took me like 3 good weeks for me to teach her how to spell BAT back. 3 weeks. And she had already gotten left back a year. So children are different. And there's a tape that you're going to see next week, I think. There's this student. She's now my right-hand person. Okay, she's now my right-hand person. She's like 22 years. She can do anything in Orton. She's that good. And nobody thought that she could even get out of elementary school. Not even me. Not even me. She just could not learn. She couldn't, it was like she couldn't learn. And I told her father, well, I didn't tell him because he was already dead. I put it in his casket. They were asking people to write stuff. And so I said to him, you're not here, but I am going to make sure she gets a good education. Okay? That's not a promise you want to make. Okay? That is not a promise you want to make to any parent. Because I felt committed for her entire education. When she didn't want to go to school, I told her parents, it's okay, send her to my house. I'll homeschool her. Unbelievable. The things you can find yourself committing to, you got to be careful. I know you have to love them, as I said, but you got to be careful. You can really invest a lot of your time, much more than you plan to. This I thought was a challenge to do online. I think it really is a challenge to do online. I can see me in a group, in an auditorium with teachers, with us getting all the materials and everything, and teachers really learning how to do this thing hands-on. But we're going to do the best we can. You can ask questions. You can ask questions because to get the right context for what you're asking, you must ask the question at the time it happens. In other words, you can't wait until the end of the lesson to ask me about cultural differences, because I said that a long time ago. For people to raise their hands and to ask questions, stop me so we can go right through getting all questions answered. Okay, please. I don't want to sit here and talk and talk and talk. Halfway through, I would like us to get a bathroom break, 10 minutes, because everybody will get a chance to stretch and what. Is that okay with everybody? That way we don't have to get up one at a time. One person, oh, I gotta leave, I gotta go to the bathroom. Another person says, I gotta go to the bathroom. And so we're all missing little pieces of it. Let's wait and all have a snack, a sandwich or whatever. Let's do it all together. Is that fine with everybody? Are we good? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you all you need just wave and I'll know that's a yes. Okay. I wanted to put this up front. I want us to address any cultural differences, because I may say things and it may be how it's done in America, and I may not realize that it's not how you do it there. So I don't know. Okay, we call that ignorance. So I'm asking you, if I say anything that's done differently, please let me know that no, that's not how we do it here. Because we're not going to be able to help each other. It's going to help me also. It's not going to help because I had to do a lot of research before I went to Africa last year. We went to Ghana first, and then Uganda, and then on to Kenya. And I was doing this whole dyslexia piece. But I learned a lot. You know, I learned a lot from the teachers, what they were saying. And I said, oh, I even had to ask them about school hours. You guys have long school day. What are your school hours? What are your school hours?
I think it's usually 8 to, is it 4 or 3?
3.
We would like to hear from
Any teacher, anybody.
Ifoma is in Nigeria, so she can share hers, and then anyone from Ghana can share also. Ifoma, what's your school hours? Sorry, I think I'm muted.
Okay. For the younger kids, we do about 8 to 1. But for the older kids in the primary, we stretch it up to 2. And then most times, if they have extracurricular activities, it goes from 2 to 3 o'clock. So top.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. What about Ghana?
Ghana, anybody?
Basically, it's between 8 to 3 o'clock.
Okay.
But some come as early as 7, especially those in the final year.
Okay. Okay, fine. That for us is a little that's for me where I came from is a little long. We have our school ends at 1 o'clock. That's it. We don't go after 1 o'clock. So that's good. That is something I needed to know. The school hours is a long school day. Do you have time after school to do something else? And all of that. Okay. I explained to you why I got into to Orton, and I'm hoping to inspire you. I don't get paid by Orton. Nobody asked me to advertise for Orton. This is what I have used. It's the #1, as far as I know, it's the #1 approach for teaching children with dyslexia. So let's talk about who is Orton. Who is this person, Orton Gillingham? If you have your manual, do you have your manual? Do you have your manual? It's page 5.
Yes, we have. Okay.
The manual that you downloaded from the website. Not from me, not from me.
Oh no.
This. Yes.
Dr. Bernard?
Yes.
I think it's my mistake then. Because remember I told you the link wasn't working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me find out about that. But this is a whole binder here. Yeah. So I just read it off. It's okay. I'll read it off. But I want to make
check it later, and you can send it to me, and then
I don't know. You can go online. You can go online. Go online and look up Orton Gillingham Teacher Manual. You just go online and look it up, and it's right there. Okay. For some reason, they're allowing people to have it. The Orton Gillingham approach was intended for use with individuals who have difficulty with reading and writing that is associated with dyslexia. Where did they get the name from? The name comes from 2 different persons, from Orton, Tori Orton, Samuel T. Orton, and from, Anna Gillingham. And so the program is called Orton Gillingham. It's a body of time-tested knowledge and practice. It's been validated. What has it shown? How individuals learn to read and write. Why a significant number of people have difficulty. How dyslexia makes achieving literacy skills more difficult. Which instructional practices are most effective for teaching, reading, and writing? And dyslexia was called by different names at different times. There's one time it was called night blindness. There are a lot of children who've been given glasses because they tell their parents, I can't see the board. And so immediately they take them to get their eyes tested, and they give them glasses, and they come back and they realize they're still not seeing the board because they really can't read it. The letters don't make any sense. You'd be amazed at how it can look. Not every dyslexic child, but it can literally look as if the letters are falling off the board. And when children, that is why, and you can identify them. If you're a teacher, if you deal with children, who are the children in your class that you always have to talk to? They never want to do what's going on in the classroom. And because of that, the person next to them, they're always nudging them or trying to get them involved in some kind of mischief because they know that they don't have a clue what's going on that board because they're dyslexic. And they don't want to sit in the class and be the only one. So they're always making trouble with other children. Teachers always say, okay, you come and sit next to me right here. Okay, and you bring, or the parents send you a note to tell you, can you please put him to sit in front? He says he can't see. All of these things, those are children. And you bring them up to the front, you bring them next to you, and they're still looking to misbehave with somebody. They're not being facetious. They're not trying to be difficult. They're not trying to give you a hard time. It may look like it, but that's not what it is. They are dyslexic and they need your help. They're crying out for your help. Not every child that misbehaves has dyslexia, okay? Some of them just need to be trained from home. That's not dyslexia. Dyslexia is when you really cannot help it. I said to you before, this is a slow process. It is a slow process where you are going to have to figure out how you're going to work with your child. Let me ask you a question. Did anybody identify their subject? There we go. Wow, what do you know? See, here we have it. Who got this for us?
I have put in it also in your training group on WhatsApp. So I'm sorry, when we are done, please, if you can print it out. If you're not able to print it before tomorrow, you can print it within the week for the subsequent sessions. I apologize for this.
Right, it's quite a bit, but it's better than buying a book.
Yeah.
And everything you want to know about the Orton-Gillingham program is pretty much in this manual. We're just going to show you how to do it. A lot of it has changed since I did it. So some of it is not going to be the same, but what I give you is going to work. Very good. Excellent. So you can put it back up. Let's just read through to the end because I was going to skip a lot of this. The Orton-Gillingham approach always focuses on individual students' need. That's close to the bottom of page 5. Always focuses on individual students' learning needs. Students with dyslexia need to master the same knowledge about language and its relationship to our writing system as any who seek to become competent readers and writers. However, because of their dyslexia, they need more help than most people. They need more help sorting, recognizing, organizing. And that's one of the things about the dyslexic student. They need to be organized. They need more organization than the other children, the average children in the classroom. They need to know that they can't just come in and tell you the dog ate their homework. Okay, no, they can't. They must know what's going on. If they have a session with a tutor or whoever it is going to instruct them, they must have a calendar. Every dyslexic student should have a calendar. And I think that is in the package that I sent to you. They must have a calendar. They must know what's going on in their lives. They must organize. I even tell parents, I can try to organize your child here, but you must organize them at home. They must make their beds. They must do chores. You must have them do things. They must they can't be organized at school and disorganized at home. It doesn't work that way. You want to teach them structure and organization, and it goes. That's why the parents have to be on board. The parents have to be, I'm telling you, if you're teaching a student that's dyslexic and the parent is not on board at home, I'm telling you, it's like you're pulling teeth. That's what it's going to be like. The parents must be on board. With the increasing amount of research on the critical components of effective reading instruction, the Orton-Gillingham approach is now being used in classroom settings with a broader population of students. I heard somebody speak about inclusion, and this is really important. Now, there are two aspects to it here. There are some things that you must teach the dyslexic student one-on-one, but there are principles that you can learn from this program that you can teach the whole class. I mean, if the child with dyslexia can learn it, hey, everybody in the class can learn it. So it can actually help. But as I said before, there are things that you must do with the dyslexic student that you're not going to do as full class instruction. While Orton Gillingham, the next page, is commonly understood as a way to teach phonics, because that's the key here, the following characteristics are what define the approach and make it unique from other phonics programs. It's not just a phonics program. It's not just, I'm going to teach them phonics. I mean, it's pathetic how I see some people teaching phonics. This program is systematic. It's sequential. It's line upon line, precept upon precept, and cumulative. Lesson activities are repetitive. When you're doing Orton, you're going to keep repeating yourself, and it's procedural, and you don't skip. One of the problems with the dyslexic learner and with many other learners in the classroom, they have what we call learning gaps. Learning gaps. So the truth is they don't know all that they missed. One father said to me when I started with his son, he said, somebody left my kid in kindergarten and they never went back to get him. Why is he saying that? This child was now in 5th grade and the child was reading at a kindergarten level. And those parents, I'm telling you, they worked with me unbelievable. They were just right there to help me in every way. And today their son is in college. Explicit, direct instruction. It's not just, okay, these are the spelling words and they all end with IC. No. You're going to explain to the child, this is what you're learning and this is why you're learning it. Orton is a multi-sensory, simultaneous. What do I mean by that? It simply means it's multi-sensory, but all at the same time. I'm not just teaching you visual, which is VAKT, visual, auditory, kinesthetic, tactile. Those are the 4 ways. But I'm not just teaching you each of those things. You're teaching those 4 things at the same time, so that the information is going into your brain, into the child's brain, I should say, in 4 different ways at the same time. The Orton program is diagnostic and prescriptive, and it's personalized. Very important. These 3 things are very, very important. You must diagnose the child. You must know, not just academically, you need to know about their family. You need to know about how they think about reading, what they like, their hobbies, all these different things. You need to find out about the child because it's that information that's going to help you to prepare. I need that page up, to prepare for the students or the student that you're going to work with. There are things in that child's life that's going to help you to figure out how you're going to reach them. I know that there's some little boys in the kindergarten or maybe 1st grade that they love cars. They love little cars. Whatever, I'm going to put a whole lot of lessons surrounding these little cars. And that's how you're going to learn how to work with your students. Find out about them. What do they like? Not what their sister likes. Not what their brother or their cousin. Find out, know the child. When you've diagnosed the child, then you become prescriptive because now you know exactly what's wrong. The doctor doesn't give you a prescription as you walk in the door. The doctor first will check you out, and then he says, okay, I'm going to give you a prescription for thus and so. And he doesn't put anybody's name on it. He doesn't say, hey, I have a prescription for the cold that you have. What's your brother's name? No, it doesn't work that way. It is diagnostic, it's prescriptive, and it's personalized just for that child. Assessment data is gathered to determine specific strengths and areas of support. There's some children who are so strong in some areas, and you have to tap into that. You have to say, that is it. That is their major strength. And so that's what I'm going to use. At the individual or small group level, which I did sometimes, lesson plans are tailored. I mean, cut to fit the students. Now, do you guys have IEPs for the children who have learning difficulties?
Yes, please.
An IEP, an individualized education program? Is it done from the Board of Education, from the school level, anybody?
Please, with the NGO that I work with, we had IEPs for individual children pertaining their learning. The mainstream schools do not have that because the national curriculum doesn't have such opportunity.
Who am I listening to?
You're listening to Barbara Samoa.
Yeah, just take him because sometimes I don't see who it is. Yeah, okay.
Okay, and then we have Ifoma who also want to share her.
Yes.
So like she said, in Nigeria over here, it's basically the private schools who have IEPs for kids who are recognized with special needs or whatever challenge they have. And then most times, even the private schools, the parents are asked to pay separately after paying for tuition and school fees. They still have to pay to get an IEP. So it's really quite expensive.
Wow.
And then what for my knowledge with my kids and even working with special need kids, I think the idea of an IEP is really challenging, because with my journey with my kids, I keep on telling all educators and exam boards that we do differentiation, we do IEPs, but then when it comes to the exams and the when it gets to
modifications, you want modifications?
Yes, but when it gets to examinations, there is nothing in place for them. So after teaching a child with an IEP and then teaching a child with differentiation, it gets to the stage for the general exams, and they have to sit the same exams that the kids do. So it's really hard.
In other words, it's helping over here, but by the time you get here, it really, I mean, you make everything that was done over here counterproductive.
Seems crazy, yes.
Because now she gets to the end of the road, she has to take her exam, and they don't have these, you know, modifications to say, well, okay, she can do this, or she can use this, or she can use a scribe. Oh no scribes. That's counterproductive.
So, yeah, the only thing we have for now is some private schools who would give additional timing, maybe a 20 minutes or 45 minutes on the paper, but that's it. And that is for the schools who are sensitive and who understand what is happening. Every other regular exam body by the government is just a regular exam, and every child sits in there, and that's it.
No way. What was the point? What was the point of the investment all the way until that time? If the child because the child knows these things, but they need, you know, certain assistance to help them. Oh my goodness, that is terrible. Okay. Structured language, not just phonics, but teaches how our language works. Teachers, I want you to get this. They have to know how language works. Phonemic awareness, phonics, the 6 basic syllable types, and we have an English teacher, an English major here who knows what I'm talking about. Advanced instruction includes so basically it's this: you can't just throw at the dyslexic child what you're throwing to the whole classroom. Why am I spelling this word? Why does it sound different? Okay, how come you asked me to spell bow, like a bow and arrow, and it's B-O-W? And how come you asked me to spell bow for a violin, and it's B-O-W? And then I had a performance, and then I was asked to bow, and it's still B-O-W. And I can go on and on with tie a bow, a ribbon. Those are the things that people, they confuse the dyslexic child. Well, what do you mean? What do you mean? You have to explain to the dyslexic learner why they are learning what they are learning. for my students who I teach that have had dyslexia or that have dyslexia, they know more about phonics than the children in the classroom. Number one, we're going to get to that later. They have to memorize all these things for me. They need to know what a vowel is. A vowel is a speech sound which is produced by an unobstructed flow of air. They have to memorize. A multisensory approach is a simultaneous use of visual, auditory, kinesthetic. You're telling me they can't learn that? Oh yes, I have my second graders learn all of those things, and we do it every day. So they get it. They know why they do what they do, and they understand the principle behind language. There are a lot of kids that can get away with not knowing a lot of things. Okay, these are my spelling words, 20 words. You can take it down. These are your 20 spelling words for this week. The dyslexic child needs to know what the structure of every one of those words. What is it? You have, okay, there's a prefix at the beginning, there's a suffix at the end. Okay, that's the root word. They need to understand language. When they get all this training, it helps. It helps. I'm telling you, for the years that I've been doing it, it changes lives. Let's see. There will be 7. Okay, there will be 7 in the information I sent over to you. You're going to see several versions of scope and sequence. How is it done? How are you teaching this child? Where do you begin? Right? Where do you begin? Scope and sequence. You're going to see, okay, this is how you're going to start. You're going to begin with the letter A, and then maybe we'll move on to B, and then we maybe move on to T. Because with those 3, I can get at, tab, back. I can switch around those 3 and do all sorts of things. In the meantime, I must teach the child. Before I even teach him or her anything, why does that A sound like ah? And why doesn't it sound like ah in cake? So from the get-go, you have to teach long and short vowels. That's the key. That's the key for all these, for their beginning, because it's what they're going to build on. So scope and sequence will tell you how to teach the letters. Like for the dyslexic child, you don't want to teach B and D in the same lesson. Total confusion. Total confusion. B and D to them look the same. It's like turning the chair upside down, turning the chair sideways. B, P, D. They all have a round, they all have a circle and a stick. You know where the stick goes in B. You know where the stick goes in D. You know where the stick goes in P. But do you think just looking at those 3, they know? No. No. So a lot of children for many, many years, they confuse D and P and D and B. And I can't tell you how many times I have seen that. So for the scope and sequence, is giving you the order. This is the order in which you're going to teach these children. Now, you know the student you're working with. So you may say, hey, I can give them 5 letters at one time. This is good. You may have another student saying, no, I can't do more than 2 with that person. 2 consonants and a vowel. That's all I'm starting off with this child. There may be somebody else who's more advanced, and even though there's dyslexic, you may put in 4 or 5 letters. But you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Just because somebody's in 4th grade, okay, and they've been pushed along to 4th grade, it doesn't mean they don't have learning gaps. There are things that they should have been taught in 2nd grade, and they don't know it. And that is a gap. But how are you going to know? How are you going to know the gaps that they have in their learning? First, you test them. And then as you work with them, you're going to see the gaps. Don't skip stuff. You say, oh, this is so easy. This is a piece of cake. I know BAT back. Okay, I'm doing BAT back with you, but it's not because I want you to spell bat. There's something I'm teaching you. The principles of consonants and vowels, how they work together, open syllables, closed syllables. Those are the things I'm teaching the child. So don't skip. They say it's easy. Say, fine, no problem. You get 100 for that. Fine, no problem. And then you move on. And then you move on. And then it's going to get harder and harder. And then you're even more so, you're going to have to slow down. You can't outpace your student. Otherwise, you're just defeating the whole purpose. Any questions?
Is there any question at this moment before we go on? She hasn't even started. This is just an intro stage, getting us to program our mind as to where this is heading to. So if you have any question, you can ask. Also, if the pace at which she's going, if it's okay with you, great. If it's not, you need to let us know so that we address all that. Okay, so we go to Huda. Gabriel, I'll come back to you.
Okay, so I heard something when Doc was speaking. She mentioned that why is when you're teaching a child the letters and the sounds, why is the sound not making A and maybe making A and not A? So Doc was trying to say maybe you could teach the short and then long vowel at the same time. I wanted to clarify that. Do you teach them really at the same time, or maybe I didn't get it well?
Not at the same time. Not at the beginning. Absolutely not at the beginning. At the beginning, you just want to begin with the short vowel sounds. Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think I'm fine.
Okay, Gabriel.
Yes, I think it's about the same thing I was going to touch on. And also to add or probably ask what the place of minimal pairs will be here in helping the children.
Say that again. At the last part, I didn't hear what you said. What is what?
The place of minimal pairs.
Minimum pairs?
Yes.
I'm not sure what that is.
Like where you introduce, let's say, words that differ in only one phoneme to them. So for instance, if you take words like, let's say, maybe pit and pin.
Okay, so you're talking about auditory discrimination, like auditory discrimination. Okay, we haven't even started yet. We haven't even started yet. We haven't gone into the lessons yet.
Gabriel, is that what you meant? What she's
That's it. I mean, auditory discrimination.
Auditory discrimination. So like
minimal pair.
Yeah, like his hat.
Just only the auditory side. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about. Okay. But that is one of the testings that actually we do, weapon auditory discrimination, where so that they can they decipher between pairs of words. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. We're getting there. See how fast they are? Okay.
Is everyone on track? Is everybody on track? Give me a thumbs up.
Everybody's good? Okay, good.
Okay.
No, you're going to see a lot of overlapping. We're going to see a lot of overlapping while I teach. It's by design. It's by design. We redo, because that's the very nature of teaching. Stay away from anything that's going to confuse your students. When you're teaching the dyslexic student, stay away from confusion. They do. If you think that they're gonna, like I was doing some words that I'm going to give you at some point in time, and I looked at some of them and I said, I'm not putting this word in. Why? I said, I know that this is going to confuse the dyslexic learner. And I don't care what book it's in, I'm not going to give it to the child because it's going to cause confusion. The teaching, we said all this, concepts. Okay. Now the concepts that we're teaching, they will be reviewed over and over. as much as possible. As a matter of fact, I want to say 100%. You must get the parents on board. You can't teach a dyslexic child without the parent being on board. I don't see how you do it. I mean, this would have to be some independent child who is able to just do stuff on their own. I don't see how you do it without the help of the parents. The parents have to be on board. Who should be teaching this? Who should be teaching this? You may say, well, what are the qualifications for teaching the dyslexic child? Let me tell you the short answer. If you want a paper to do it, you have to begin with a master's degree. So that's the starting point. But if what you want to do is help a child, there are practical ways that you can learn how to help a child without that piece of paper in your hand. One of these days, you'll probably get that piece of paper. But for now, there are too many children dropping out. They need help fast. So we just need to know how to help them. We decided on our 10-minute break. Okay, now we go to the teacher's binder, the scope and sequence. You cannot begin until you know where to start. Now, let me ask you, if you were teaching children phonics, where would you begin? Where would you begin? How would you start to teach them how to spell? There's got to be a starting place.
Anyone can share their views on this question, as many as of you. How would you start to teach a child phonics?
Okay.
Please,
okay, I think there's some confusion. You know, sometimes as teachers, there's a confusion. You know, phonics, and I don't know if anybody's familiar with Jolly Phonics. So, yeah. So a lot of people use. Well, I'm talking from the viewpoint of Nigeria. You know, where you have a system that's not so regulated. So we private practitioners are actually allowed to use whatever curriculum we decide to use. So we have a lot of people who say they're doing phonics, but then they confuse Jolly Phonics with phonics. So if I was to say I was going to teach with Jolly Phonics, it has the 7 sets of letters, and we start from Sa to Pin. And I think the Satipin is exactly like what Dr. Bernard was talking about. Because from Satipin, I seem to enjoy that line because it has the SATIPN. And I think from there, we can form a lot of words like sat, like at, like tap, pin. You know, for me, it's the most interesting and the easiest line of the phonics. So for Jolly Phonics, so I don't know if that answer suffices, or Dr. Bernard is looking for something else. But for me, with the little kids, I think we actually enjoy using the Jolly Phonics because it also has the songs and the actions and and everything to go with it. So I think that's what majorly a lot of schools use the Jolly Phonics method of teaching spelling and reading for the kids.
My question was, how do you start teaching them when you're about to start with them?
Okay, we start with I actually enjoy starting with the songs that go with it and the flashcards. So we get the children to learn the songs and the actions. So you see a lot of them, like when you're teaching the R, there's a song that goes with it. So the R, answer my hand. So I've realized that a lot of the kids enjoy the actions, and so it sticks up there. So before if I want to get them to say a sound and I just do the action, you just see a lot of them just, when I do like answer my hand, they immediately pick it up and listen. Or when I go like a snake crawling in the grass, they seem to get it. Or if I'm going to go like when I play my tennis. So I think with the actions, a lot of the younger ones actually do get what we're talking about.
Fantastic. Okay. We have Huda, who also wants to share her take on it. Huda, you can go ahead.
Okay, so I think on a personal level, I I believe that to introduce these young learners to phonics, I believe that from the early stages, probably mobile crèche or something, they should be familiar, like they should be visually aware of these letters. Because when they are visually aware, I mean, you could probably consider lettering your classroom with the letters, I mean, the small letters, which represent the letter sounds. So the more you are lettering, and then probably the child picks in the class because you've lettered your class with it, he or she picks it up, and then you get to say, okay, you reinforce the sounds with the child. And then before you begin your class, you can actually get probably a very nice classroom, maybe a starter or something. You could probably use the circle time format to sit around with them, and then that would be a way to introduce the lesson, I believe.
Okay, anybody else before Dr. Bernard take over? Okay, we can go ahead.
Okay, so far those two sound like good programs that they're using, phonics-based program. Now, if you have a program like that, how do you look out, or what do you do about the children that may not be processing like the other children in the class? Will everybody be singing the song, you think? Okay, so let's assume everybody will be singing the song. Let's assume everybody. When it's time for them to spell something on paper, are they able to put them together?
Ifeoma, you can unmute. She said no, so I want her to unmute.
No, not all of them, because then we also find some of them who even at the early ages who don't have their speech so very clear. And then we get some of them who are still nonverbal, like in the case of my children, they were nonverbal to 4.5 and 5.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so that's important. Okay, we're gonna move on to our phonics cards, the visual and auditory. You should have had something that looks like this. Everybody got something that looked like this? That shows you the cards. Yes?
Well, I
This
can
is
see what you are showing.
Gabriel, can you see it?
No.
Can you see Dr. Bernard though?
No, let me move through that. Okay, yeah, now I can see.
Now you can see me? Okay. Do you have something like this in your packet?
I haven't gone through the packet yet.
Like this.
Did everybody print it out? Apart from Barbara and
yes, she has it.
Did everybody print it? Okay. Ifeoma has her. Okay. I see Gifty also has hers.
Okay. Now, were you able to get the hard stock paper?
Yes.
Yeah, let me see those who got the paper, the hard stock paper.
Okay.
Okay. Now, do we have the hard stock paper? Because now we're going to make these cards. We're going to make these cards. This is going to be key to teaching the children the drills every session. Okay, so I need by show of hands, how many have this sheet? So you know what we're doing. One person.
Ifeoma has, I think Gifty also has hers.
Okay.
Miss Irene, do you have yours printed out? Miss Irene has hers.
Because if you print it out, you're going to know that you're going to see the size.
Okay. For Barbara and Hudiatu, they don't have because
There you
they
go. There you go. There you
today,
go.
so they'll
Wow,
get
she's
Yeah.
ahead of the game.
Who, Gifty?
Yes, she's ahead of the game. Yes.
Wow. She actually made her own.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so if you don't have that, we're still going to do it. Do you have plain paper?
Yes.
Just
You can,
plain,
you
just
can
plain
unmute.
paper.
You can unmute and answer when she asks questions because this is an interactive.
Yes, this is it right now. I need everybody's speaker on, everybody's mic on. If you don't have this paper, just get plain paper because we're going to have to do this. We have to start cutting all those cards. Everybody has a pair of scissors?
Yes.
Yeah, you should have a pair. If you have a marker, that would help. And you're going to create these cards. And I'm going to show you how to create them. I have had these cards for a long time. Let's begin with the vowels. Okay, the vowel cards are a different color. Very important. They should be a different color because your students will be able to identify the vowels. Okay, what I do, yes, that's fine. If you printed it out, just cut them out in the size of these. For these, for today, you only need 5. And a Y, you need actually 6 because Y is sometimes a vowel. So you need 6 of these, 6 salmon cards. And for today's purpose, you must begin by putting the brev over those, because we're only doing the short vowels today. A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Okay, so you start making your cards, you create your card, you just write the letter at the front of it, A, E, I, O, U. And then I'll tell you what to put at the back of it, because this is what you're going to use. But I really want everybody to get these cards, so because when you start working with your child, you need these cards. And it's not 5 of them. It's not 5 of them. It's for the vowels, it's 30. More than 30 of them, more than 30 for the vowels. Okay, because we're doing all the different types, so the vowel T, the vowel consonant, silent E. I'm telling you, when the child learns this, it'll make a difference in how they spell. Okay, so when everybody who has this, just let me know. A, E, I, O, U. After you've created your card, there you go. There you go. You have some teachers in the house. The one for Y, you're going to put a dash in front of the Y because it's Y at the end of a word.
A dash in front of the Y.
Huh?
Dash in front of the Y.
Yes, a dash in front of the Y. to show that the Y is coming out at the end of the word. When everybody has them, let's just go, and I'll tell you, everybody's going to write at the back. Can you see this? Notice you have to put, the only ones I want you to put actually is for the apple. I want you to put a brev over the A. Ah, this is so tiny. Let's see. Can you see that? The letter A, and you put a brev over it.
Yes.
Okay. And for the second one, baby, you put a macron over the A. Just a little dash over the A to show that it's a long vowel sound. So we have A, apple, A. And what I can do is, in fact, I have to do that. I'm going to send you a sheet so that you'll know what's at the front, what's at the back for each of the cards, so that you can create your cards. Okay? Let's see this O. Take a look at the O. And then for the U, I had to recreate this card. I lost it. U, umbrella, and you put a brev over the U. Now you can choose your own word if you don't like my word. Okay, in other words, if there's a word that you think the child will remember better, but here's the problem. If you use a new word, you have to use that new word forever. You can't say today, my name is Jim, and tomorrow my name is Jack. So whatever you use, you get to choose what you want, but you must stick with it. You can't tell the child E's for elephant today and then E's for egg. You got to stick with one keyword. Just for this purpose, you have to stick with one. Okay, so we have E for Eddie, but you could put E for egg, E for elephant, whatever you want to, but it must be the short E. And then the second one is eject. So that's the long E. You can use a different word, a different keyword. And then I would not choose itchy, but they have it on this card, itchy. I would say it, and any word that you think the child would remember. And spider. If a kid is afraid of spiders, you definitely don't want to use spider. Now, these are the cards you use with these children literally for years. For years. Because every week with the child, you're going to do these cards. And you're going to, after a while, it's going to take just a few minutes. It's going to be like nothing. They're going to be able to do it. As you put it up, they'll be able to say it. I, igloo, A, apple, A. They'll just do it like nothing. But it's becoming such a part of their lives. Okay, so those are for the vowels. Let's pull out a couple of consonants. N, not N. This is for the letter N. Boy, B. If you can use bat, if you'd like, if you think that's, more in line with what you want to do. C, cat, K. Or it's the S sound before E, I, or Y. And I'll just do F. After that, you're going to get the sheet. So you're going to create your cards. F, fish. So everybody, by the time you get the sheet and I'll send it over to you, I guess we can just I'll just put it on the WhatsApp thread. Yes. Somebody's asking a question? No. Okay. You're going to create your cards. There are a lot of them. It's a lot of work to create those cards. Because when we speak about vowels, it's not just A, E, I, O, U. A, E is a vowel team. O, A is a vowel team. A, I is a vowel team. And they have to learn all of those. As I said to you before, it becomes like nothing to them. It's going to open up a whole new world of spelling for them. Okay. Any questions about the card? Are you clear on how to do those cards?
I have a question.
Yes.
These cards, is there cards that are already made that they can purchase or find it online and print it without doing it? Or they
could try. Listen, I don't know. They could try. They can go to Educators Publishing Service, EPS, Education Publishing Services, and I can give them the ISBN number. Do you want the ISBN number?
Sure. If you can send it to me after the program, I will look into it and see if it's available to get it.
Okay.
They can make it themselves, whichever they prefer. And teachers, you can also ask questions whether you also want to make it yourself or something. This was just a question.
What do you want to do?
But I think I'm asking because, of course, I said dyslexia. I don't like worrying myself with so many things. But then it's different. These are educators here, so they can probably do.
And they're going to need it. If they could get this, it would be great. I'm just saying to you, the reason I asked to make it is because it's very expensive.
Oh, so they are pre-made.
Oh, this is the box. You get them in a box. Absolutely. At the time, which was, I don't know, 15 years ago, I think I paid like, I don't know, it was like 50 something, 60 something dollars for it or something. I have no idea how much it is now, but I know it's expensive.
15 years ago.
Yeah, this is very expensive.
Okay, you send me details later. I will check on it.
I will send it to you. Who knows? You may be able to get it on Amazon. Who knows? But however, for now, because there's no way they're going to be able to get it on. For now, I'm going to send the sheet so that they can just create the cards. They can just create them. In other words, that's going to be like their temporary cards.
Yeah.
Until they get the real cards, because we're going to need it to do the phonics drills. Okay. So everybody got the hang of how we're going to do the cards, visual and auditory? Okay, so this is how you introduce them to the student. Every day, start with the vowels. And when you put this up, they say This is a visual. A, apple, A. And they have to write it with using this. Was anybody able to get this? The shelf liner. You could use anything if you want that you can get a cardboard, maybe put glue on it and throw white sand on it so that it becomes rough. All you need is a rough surface so that you can get that tactile sense. Okay, if you can get it, and then you have to line it up so that you can tell the child top of the line if they're writing B, top of the line to the bottom of the line, back up and around. Top of the line to the bottom of back up. Something that they need to write on so they can feel it as they're writing. Here you go. Here you go. It looks, can you see this?
Yeah.
You roll it up just as
Is it
you
like
would
a
a
net? Is it like a net?
This is plastic. This is plastic. It's like a shelf liner. But if you can get anything that you can use, that you can feel, then you just roll it up. You just roll it so that when the child is writing B, they can literally feel B. Feel it. Down, back up, and around. They're feeling it. And that is what we're talking about when we said it's going into your brain in 4 different ways. They're seeing the letter, they're hearing the letter, they're touching it, and the arm movement that they are making, that's the kinesthetic movement. So in 4 different ways, they're putting it into their brain at the same time. Okay. So when you show them the card A, apple, A, this is what they're going to say, A, apple, A. O, octopus, A. U, what is this? U, yeah. U, umbrella, E, elephant, E. I, igloo, I. Y, yo-yo, yeah. That one is at the beginning of the word, but then you'd have to say Jim, cyclone, candy at the end of a word. And then you go to the consonants and you do the same thing, letter by letter, and they say them. As you show them the letter, they must be able to identify it. Now, after you're done, these are all the visual stimulus. And then you do what is called the auditory. So I'm going to give them the sound. So I'm going to say, and they'll say N as in nut, F as in fish, D as in dog. Now, what is K? What is K? What is K? What letter is that?
C and K.
What is it?
C and K.
It's C. It's C.
and K.
It's CK. It's all 3 of them. It's C, it's K, it's CK. So how do they know which one? That's why they have to learn the reason why do you use K at the end of a word instead of CK? Why, when I write book, why do I write BOOK and end with just a K? Or when I write back, what I write BACK? What's the difference? Why do I use it with a C sometimes, and why do I use it without a C? All those they learn, and I'm just telling you, they learn it. They learn it, and it helps them to spell.
Okay, thank you very much. Just before we move on, Victoria, you wanted to ask a question, and then from there we go to Ifoma. I saw she wanted to ask a question. Victoria, you can go ahead, unmute and ask a question.
Okay, I was just talking about the sensory aspect whereby after introducing the letter, they can write. So
yes.
Can we get something like a tray of sand in front of the students instead of holding it up, as soon as we show the letter, the child can actually proceed and use the finger to trace the letter in the sand. Is that also possible?
They're using the cards and the mat all at the same time.
Yes.
So go ahead, ask again.
Progress.
Victoria, can you explain again?
Okay, about the sensory parts, whereby you introduce each letter, then the child have to try writing it. If we don't have what she's using, is it possible that we can just get an empty tray, fill it with a flat sand? Whereby
absolutely
trace each. Okay, thank you. I'm just thinking about ways that we can improvise.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any way that you can think of that the child can feel it, that's fine. If you use loose sand in a tray, then you're gonna have, it can get messy. So you may want to put that sand on something that's gonna stay. For example, if you just put glue on a mat, like a table mat, you put glue on it and then throw the sand on it and shake it up, and then you'll end up with a mat with sand on it. But you leave it to dry. It's like using sandpaper. It's like using sandpaper. That way, so, they'll feel it. I mean, if you can get sandpaper, I guess that could work too.
All right. Thank you.
We go on to Ifoma.
Yeah, I think for some kids with special needs and Montessori too, we have sandpaper numbers. I don't know if they have sandpaper letters. There's a sandpaper numbers. It comes from 0 to 10, 0 to 9, and it's on a board, on a wooden board. But all the numbers have that sandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 0 to 9 in a long, like a ruler kind of thing. So we're just teaching the kids because they can feel the sand. I don't know. I haven't explored if they have the letters, but I know I have in my school. I have the one that has the numbers on it, and it's called sandpaper numbers. It's a Montessori teaching tool. So probably we'll have to investigate.
So maybe you can get sandpaper letters.
Yes, I think so. They will.
Okay, but that would be for them, but you would still need the cards to show them.
Okay.
And then they do the sandpaper. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
So someone was also, okay, I think this question has been answered. Can we use sandpaper, please? And that was from Florence.
I think that was answered. Yeah. Anything that you use to get that tactile sense, that's fine. Use whatever works for you. Okay, we're running out of time, or we didn't do a halftime. But I would like us to become expert at these cards. You just seeing it today, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. When you start using it with a child, you'll see the difference it makes. Now, before I go on, let me just ask, has everyone identified a child that they're going to work with?
Not yet. In my case, not yet.
Not yet. Anybody? In my case, yes. Okay. Because everybody has to have a child to work with. After this session, you have to have a child to work with. And if you can literally have the child with you while we're on session, that's even better. You have to have a child that you're working with. Okay? Because as you learn
I know for some teachers, it will be hard for them, especially if you're a teacher and looking at the hour we are working here in Ghana is night time. And if it's a student, having them with us doing training may be harder for them, but I don't know what you guys
think. Okay,
think.
so that's fine. They can do it because we have a break in between every week. They can do it on the weekend, have the child do the lesson, because you must do a full lesson with the child before you come back for the next session. Okay. So the therapeutic awareness, this is one that I wanted to discuss with you guys, what you think. I had a list. It's in your packet. Just look in your packet for the therapeutic awareness. because I am sure that there's something that you can add to it that you think your child may want to talk about. It says suggested topics for therapeutic awareness. Everybody has that? And there's some questions. Why is the client there? You only do one for every lesson. What is the student's perception of their reading? In other words, how do you feel? You may ask the child, how do you feel about your reading? Do you like to read? Things like that, because you're trying to draw them out. This therapeutic awareness is like your little pep talk. It's like your little pep talk. You encourage them when they come in. How was your day? What did you do today in school? Did you do reading today in school? What book? Do you have a book that you used in reading? Things like that. And they will open up a conversation. Pathways to the brain. What is automaticity? In other words, can you read automatically? Are you still spelling out words, sounding out words? Learning difficulty versus learning disability. Now, this is what I want to ask you. What can we add to this list? Because you're in a different culture. There's got to be other things that you want to ask your child. What experience have you had that you want to find out if that child has had an experience like that? Anyone? Another one to discuss is famous dyslexics. Anything you want to add to this? I'm sure you'll find things as you go along, but the first thing that you probably want to discuss with a child is, why are you here? Why am I sitting here with you? Why did mom say that you have to come and get tutoring? Why? You want to definitely eliminate the fact that they're dumb, because that's not true. So you may want, for your first session, you may want to say, what have kids said to you? Maybe they may tell you, well, I don't like to read. Why don't you like to read in class? Oh, I don't like when the teacher calls me to read. Well, why? And they may say, well, because I don't know the words, or I can't read the words fast enough. Different things like this. And the more they talk, the more you're going to find things that you can literally discuss with them. Did anybody ever laugh at you? The kids may say, well, yes, the teacher called me to read and I didn't know most of the words and the kids were laughing. All of those things. Those are the things that you discuss in therapeutic awareness. There may be some kids who have brothers and sisters who are very smart and their mother told you that. When they came to you first, the mom said, yeah, she has 2 other brothers and sisters and they're really smart. They're doing all of their schoolwork. And so I don't know what's wrong with him, or I don't know what's wrong with her. You have to pull out from the child what they have heard about themselves. And then just throw it out. You're not lazy. You're not dumb. All the negative things that they have ever heard, you want to throw it out so that they leave there thinking, oh, I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me. Every single session, you must have 5 minutes of therapeutic awareness with the child. Any questions on that? Okay, I hope I'm not losing you. Spelling. Do we have the spelling sheet? Let me show you what that looks like. It looks like this. Five steps. Okay, this was in your packet. How to do the spelling. This is how they're going to do spelling every single time. You say the word, they repeat the word, they spell it out loud, then they write it, then they check it every single time. So if you say to them, I want you to spell hat. You say hat. They say hat. Why? Because what you say is not necessarily what the child hears. Whatever you say, they must repeat it back to you so that you know that you're both saying the same thing. You say hat. The child says hat. You say, now spell it out loud. The child says H-A-T. Now they write it. And as they're writing it, they say it again, H-A-T. Then they have to go back and sound it out now. That's called check. So they do hat. Yes, it's right. Hat. That's how they're going to do the spelling every single time. When they get, and they're going to get to big words. It's not going to be just hat and mat and bat. As you go week after week, time after time, then they're going into compound words. They're going into multi-syllable words. It gets more and more difficult, but you get into it very, very slowly until they actually can enjoy what they're doing with you. Any questions on spelling? How do we do spelling in school? That's a question I'd like an answer for. How do you do spelling? How do the teachers do spelling in school? Because I know they didn't do spelling like this when I went to school. What do they do? Anybody? There's got to be a teacher here who knows how they do spelling in school.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well, from my context, what you just shared is what we do.
Okay, who am I speaking to?
Gabriel Opoku.
Okay. You do the 5-step plan.
Yeah.
You do the 5 steps for spelling. That's great. That's absolutely great. Now, how does that work for you?
Well, probably because that's what we've been doing. I mean, and it's been working.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were to be doing something different and there was a change, then I can measure the difference in effectiveness or something. But it's like this, what we are used to already, and I know it's been helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Because I'm sure you notice that when the children write something wrong, when they get to that 5th step and they sound it out, they will know if they left out a letter or if they added in something that was not supposed to be there. That is the point at which they know the word is definitely correct. Very good.
Yeah.
Anybody else? If you have a child that goes to school or that child used to go to school, did they just send home spelling words? Do you know how they taught spelling?
Please share. You are all educators here. Please share so the class is participatory. If she's the only one going to be speaking throughout, you're going to get tired. So let's share our practicalities on the field so that it enhances the training that we are all participating. Judith, you can unmute yourself and speak.
The way I teach spelling in my class, I actually use the Jolly Phonics approach. So after teaching a particular group of sounds, going through all the process, now when they are more familiar with the sound, they are able to identify the first sound, the endings and the middle sound. And then from there, I teach them how to, we learn blending, they blend. So now after that, based on the sounds I've taught them, I don't give them words outside the sounds I've taught them. So I give them words within the sounds I've taught them. Then I'll mention the word. Then I'm going to have sometimes say the robot talking. I'll try to stretch it up a bit for some of them. Some of them just mention the word, they can just mention what you've said and they can be able to identify the individual phonemes in it. But someone that have to do the robot talking where I talk like a robot, then they are able to identify the sounds. So I will tell them to, based on the sounds you've said, now spell this particular word. So that's what I do in my class.
Okay. That and that sounds like it works really well. It sounds like it works really well. So that's good because there's so many different ways. I'm saying, and like the person who spoke before, for the dyslexic child, this really works. It's not just these are the words. No, the step by step, because it helps them to understand. It's a sequence, and when they get to the end of it, they know, okay, this is where I arrived at. And of course, when you're doing it, you only teach words, and I think somebody said that. You only using, for the whole thing, you only use letters that you teach them, only. If you've never taught them, I don't care if you think they learn it in second grade or whatever, you don't do anything with a child unless you taught them that letter. So that you know, okay, why would you give them a word to spell with QU in it and you didn't teach them QU? If all you taught them were 10 letters, 10 consonants, and 5 vowels, all the words should have those consonants and those vowels. And you keep adding to them. Okay, we're coming down to, we're coming down close to the end. Daily reflection log. You must prepare every single time you meet with the child, you prepare a daily reflection log. So you're going to say, you're going to do the phonograms review and you're going to say what they did. You'll have them on your sheet and you check them off. They did the B, they did the D. Every day you check them off. If after a certain time, they keep going over it over and over and over and you say, yeah, they got it. They definitely got it. Then you can do it more sporadic. But you must do the phonograms review every single day. And you have to say what they did. Then you have the rapid drills where we move around the letters and we're going to show you how to do it. You move around the letters, you change that, you switch them around, and that's the rapid drills. Then you're going to have to write because you have that sheet of paper with you. For the whole lesson, you have that sheet of paper with you and you're going to check if they did the rapid drill. You're going to say, they didn't pronounce the A correctly. Your A not pronounced correctly. Missing ending sound. Whatever they did that was not correct, you're going to put it on that sheet. So you don't have to wait until at the end and then say what they did because you're not going to remember. You always have that sheet right next to you and you record everything that the child does that is incorrect. If it's not incorrect, don't make a note of it. Because you're going to use everything on that reflective log to take it over to the next lesson. Because you're going to know, okay, the child does not understand that this is a vowel team and that the first vowel is long and the second vowel is silent. So you're taking that over to the next lesson and you're going to teach that over again. And I think that's it for the daily. We end at the daily reflection log. The next session, which is tomorrow, we're going to actually do all the testings. Now, what testings do you use? This will help me because I sent over testings to you. Did you get them? I sent over the dyslexia screening, the Dolch list, the reading test, the spelling test, the math test, the comprehension test, structural analysis. Because if we don't have these, we don't have any class tomorrow.
Gifty, you cannot mute. Were you saying something? Gifty, were you trying to say something?
I was trying to find it in the document.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. The one that was sent over yesterday, all the others that were done that were without the camera, you got them all resent yesterday from a scan.
I'm resending it today because
Okay.
you said I should send it during the training.
Yeah,
time.
send it to them so that everybody can have it. Those were all scanned. Because tomorrow we are going to do testing, but I need to find out what testings are you using right now? And I really need an answer on this one from almost everybody. If a student is dyslexic, how do you know? Do you just say the person can't read? How do you know the child is dyslexic? What is the criteria? Oh, I'm waiting for everybody.
Hello.
So you guys can
Please
unmute
and share.
You guys can unmute because we need to know. How do you know a child is dyslexic?
Okay, can I come on?
Yes.
Okay. So, Gifty speaking. We personally, I think, as paraprofessionals or as teachers, we don't actually test or assess the students to say they are dyslexic. We identify them when they exhibit the symptoms. Like, for example, a child, the video you sent us before this lesson is very helpful. I really love it. You broke dyslexia into the simplest form for us to understand. I so much love that video. I made a little note out of it. And with that, I think that is how teachers identify these children. So for us in Ghana, especially those in the public schools, would generally not say a child is dyslexic. They would say a child has a reading difficulty or a child is unable to read. And that will be because they have found out that the child has word processing problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's the child has difficulty recognizing words.
Mm-hmm.
There's inaccuracy, and then the fluency is not that good.
Mm-hmm.
And so and then when in the preschool level, when we find that the child has delay in learning the alphabets, confusion between B and D, and so when there's bad, they say dab.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kind of informal assessments as teachers, especially in the public schools, we do. And we identify those children as having reading difficulties. That's it. We are unable to say they are dyslexic because we are not in the capacity we don't have any instruments to have used. And so in this workshop is one of the things personally I would have loved to learn, because I moved to schools as my community service. I go to schools to provide support. And to provide support, yes, to especially the private schools who don't have special educators. And so I go there and provide support. To provide support, I only base that on teachers identifying that this child is not able to read, is in grade 4. And then I have an unofficial assessment of the child and also identify all these that I'm talking about. Occasionally, sometimes I invite a parent and I take information from them. And with the case history matching with what the teacher says, I'm able to tell that child has a reading difficulty, but I'm unable to say it's dyslexic.
Dyslexic, right. Okay, so I'm going to assume that she's speaking for Ghana. Is that fair to say?
Yes. That is.
Yes, that would be fair to say that.
And can we hear from Ifoma? Ifoma is in Nigeria, so all the time I like us to also hear his perspective as to what practices is going on. Ifoma, you can unmute.
Yeah, she's actually very right. As educators, most of us do not have the capacity to say that, or label a child to say he has this challenge or the other. So she's very right. From the early age, we see a lot of mirror imaging. That's what we call it here, with the D and the B, a lot of mirror imaging. And then you hope as a teacher that with time, the child will grow out of it. And then when they move on to like primary 1, primary 2, and then it's still there, then we begin to get, because apart from even in the literacy, in the numeracy too, with the 7 and the number 6, you see a lot of the same things happening. And then you give them a spelling test, and you know, we have certain levels, age levels, where there should be some words should have been mastered at maybe in grade 1 or grade 2.
Right.
We have a spelling list that says at this level the child should be able to do this or do that. So when we get to those kind of things, and then as teachers, one another, maybe I had a child in the kindergarten class, and the child is moved to primary 1, and we're still having the same challenge of, say, some of them, sometimes their speech is even delayed, and then they still can't comprehend, they can't read properly. And then most times with that, if you have a school psychologist, and then you have to invite in the parents to say, we need to know some of the birth history. How has this child been all along? Was the birth regular? Were there any delays? Do you have an assessment you can give us? Some people in Nigeria who are lucky enough to be wealthy, or who have the capacity to travel abroad, actually do get tests done. In the private schools, when we're really worried about a particular child, it depends on the family background. Some people can afford to get, we do have psychologists around. We do have people who are trained psychologists, behavioral analysts. So we do send across to say, can you please have us, can you please do us an analysis of this child to say. But on the other hand, like in the public schools where there's no such help, and people are hardly aware of what's even happening. And then you find a child who's been told to repeat a class severally. And then most times, to stay back, maybe you have a child who's 10 and the child is still in a primary 2 or grade 2. So a lot of people who do not have access to have schools who were good enough, you just have a child who's done the same class like 3 times over. And when
that's demoralizing.
Yes. And then when I get in touch with such parents, I'm just like, I don't know any child who would want to be, kept behind the same class 3 years over in a row, because that's what they do. A lot of public schools don't have access, or they don't even have the information we have. So they only you set an exam, the child fails the exam, he's told to do the class again. So you have people doing the same class like 2 times or 3 times over, and there's still no solution. So I tell people who come to me, maybe because of my kids' history and how far I was able to go with them, I have a lot of people come over to me to say, how'd you get over this? And I tell them, I don't think there's any child who is actually a lazy child or who wants to be kept behind and their peers move on and they want to be in the same spot. Because I think psychologically, it's very demoralizing.
Terrible.
And it really sets them back. So I am one person who would say, let them move along with their peers if you can't find a solution, because apart from the educational skills, imitation and other social skills, they will have to learn from people who are the same age as them. So really, for us here in Africa, the diagnosing is really a big, big problem. To diagnose these children is one of the biggest tasks that we have to do as teachers. And then coming from our background, a lot of people are spiritual. So you identify a problem, you try to get across to the parents, and sometimes they won't even listen. And they tell you
they just want to pray about it.
Yes. So it is really challenging, because I see a lot of cases that would have been handled from when the kids were much younger, but the parents leave it until it gets, really, really challenging. And you have a child who's 10, a child who's 9, and they're reading at the level of a kindergarten child. And then you begin to wonder where, like you said, the gaps. What happened from all the stages? The child just gets on passed from one teacher to another. So it's really a huge challenge for us over here.
It is. It really is. Wow. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to start on dyslexia screening. You have that. Please look in the packet. It's there. If you don't download everything, download dyslexia screening. Write these down. These you must have for tomorrow. Dyslexia screening. Dolch list of high frequency words. WRAT, all caps, WRAT -4. And in brackets, you put reading, spelling, math, comprehension. The next one is structural analysis. Phonics mastery. Phonics mastery is several pages, maybe around 5. Okay, and then at the end of all that, you're going to have to create a diagnostic and remediation sheet. How are you going to help this child? And it's going to be based on all of this. The other thing that you need to download, because you need that also, you need all this to make your case. There's a parent survey. Download that. That's 8 pages. The parent survey, that is important. Then there's a student inventory where the child is going to respond to you. This is my name. This I like reading or I don't like reading. The student, and then there's a preference, reading preference. I'm saying that now off the top of my head. Let me see if I have it here. There are about 3 different questionnaires for the children. The assessment, one's like 30 questions, just 1 page, but 30 questions. Just look, I think they're all together. All the testings, we're doing all of those tomorrow. It's not happy work. Okay, let me tell you right now, it's not happy work. It's tedious work. Okay, when you're doing testing, it's tedious, but it's important. You can't teach a child if you don't know the child. You could be teaching the child things that the child already knows, and you could be neglecting to teach things that the child needs to know. This will help you. You're going to know when you're done with the phonics mastery, you'll know all the letters that they know, the beginning sounds they know. Can they identify the middle sounds? Can they identify the ending sounds? When we're done with all these battery of tests, we're going to be able to put together the case study for that child. You cannot do this course unless you have a child or a student to work with. This is the whole point of this. You must have a student that the parent, they're everywhere. They are everywhere. Dyslexic children are everywhere. Go into any classroom and pull out 5 of them. Ask the teacher, which are the 5 that give you the most trouble? Which are the ones that sit in class and do nothing at all? Which are the ones that you keep sending home notes to their parents? Okay, just give me those. Just pull those out. You can try it with maybe 2 children because you want to make sure that, you're not wasting your time on this one child, only to find out, hey, this kid is not dyslexic. His parents just allow him to do whatever he wants and he's just spoiled. Okay, he's not dyslexic. So you need to know who you're dealing with. Everybody has to have a student. You have what? 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever, you got to find, hey, there's a child behind that person. Okay, but you have to have a child. If you can download this, I'm asking you as a favor now. If you can download those tests and start working on it before we get back here tomorrow, that will be a great help. I'm thinking. Only the dyslexic one. Only the dyslexic test. All the others we're going to work on here. Okay, but if you can find a child and ask these questions, get all this information and the parent survey and what the student says. The others that we have to write in, we'll do those tomorrow. But if you can find a child, ask the parent, ask the mom tonight, say, please, can you give me a half hour? I have some questions I need to ask you. and just ask them those questions on the phone. You can do it on the phone. You can just do it on the phone. But you need, because you're screening the child. Who are you going to work with? I don't want any kids that are not dyslexic. But what would be the point? Right? But I need you guys, if you're really, really serious about this dyslexia thing, this is something you can be so helpful to so many children. You can save lives that otherwise would have just gone by the wayside. And I have seen a lot of them. There's one student I have right now, because I dropped most of my students because I can't keep up with all of this stuff. I have too many things going on in my life. That particular child, I have her right now. And I knew I had to keep her. I said, I have to keep that child. She is about to fall through a black hole. She already repeated the 2nd grade. She cannot, she came into the program for that school during the COVID. Boy, did she get lost. Boy, did she get lost. She is online, don't even know how to get online. And so the rest of the class is going along and she's just lost. And I had to take her. I said, no matter what, her father is much older than most of the fathers. So I know that, that might be an issue for her. And they speak another language. So I knew she was going to be dead on arrival. And I said, I have to help her. Right now, she's really doing well, fluent with English, and she's getting only 90s and 100s pretty much. And she's going to move on without any question. There's no summer school, nothing for her. She's moving on to the 4th grade. And I mean, I am really hard. I mean, none of you are hard like me. None of you are hard like me. If she gets 90, I know a lot of you would throw a party for 90. I don't throw a party for 90. I don't throw a party for 90. When she gets 90, she doesn't want to tell me. Okay. Because I'm teaching her and I know her ability. I know what she can do and she has to do it. And I push her hard and she's doing really, really well. I am so proud of her. I have to wait until she's up until I let her go and say, girl, I am so proud of you. Because I don't want her to get complacent and think that, hey, I've arrived and all of that. All I do, I just keep pushing her. I say, hey, we got to do it. And even if she gets a 90, I say, that's good. Let's keep trying. Let's keep going because I need her to move ahead. I really do. Because she's now a year ahead, a year older than all of the children in her class. You could look at her and say she's bigger than all the other kids. And that's just 1 year. That's just 1 year she was left back. I don't know how a kid gets left back twice. How did they do that? You got to take that kid out of that class and do something different because clearly what you're doing is not working. Okay, and insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. If she did the whole 3rd grade and she bombed out and she was getting 40 and 30, how is putting her back in that class going to help her again next year? And then you do it 2 years and then the 3rd year you do it again? And you expected it? No, there's something that you have to change. If children are not doing well, they're not making progress. You can't keep doing the same thing. You have to intervene. There's got to be an intervention. Yes. Okay, so please, I'm asking you for tomorrow, download that dyslexia screening. Find yourself a student that you want to work with, and we're going to be doing all testings tomorrow. Yes.
I don't have your money.
Why is it closed? I never seen it.
Is somebody speaking to? Okay, not sure what that was. But anybody else? One person told me about the testings. Anybody in any private organization that you do these screenings, you do these testings, literary testings?
Any person has anything to share on screening and assessment? So I just have to say that what Dr. Bernard is saying tomorrow we're going to do is screening.
Screening.
Not assessments. Because we don't want to go
No,
here.
it's both. It's both because we're doing a whole lot because we're trying to create a case study. Oh, when you talk about official screening that you can take to the bank?
I'm talking about, Dr. Bernard, I'm talking about official assessments.
No. Now,
That's
these,
not
let me say to you, the tests that I'm doing right now, they're not informal tests. They are literally formal tests. They are actual tests. Okay? In other words, I'm a reading specialist in the state of New York. I can do those tests. And so that is why some of them I can't even give you everything because they're copyright laws and all. But the tests that I'm going to be doing with you guys tomorrow, they are literal tests that we do because when I worked in the St. John's University, I used to be a clinician at St. John's University. Those are the testings we use. Those are the official testing. I would not do it with your child and do a formal testing. If I do that, they come to the clinic and we do the formal testing. Those are the tests I'm using. All we're going to have to do is convert them from the New York standard to Africa standard. But these are literal tests.
Yes, I do understand. But I was just putting a disclaimer on it because our policies that guiding things, for example, here in Ghana, and I know of Nigeria as well. Before somebody can be a professional assessor like you, there are licenses that need to be obtained. So
absolutely.
we don't want anybody to leave out of this training when we finish saying that
they're licensed
professional assessor.
Right. If I had, let's say, Lady Rosa, you had a daughter and you thought your daughter was dyslexic. You could literally get online with me, with her. I can totally assess her and present a formal assessment that the state of New York would recognize as a licensed practitioner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But we're just going to show people how to do it. As you said, we're going to call this informal because we're not giving out certification. But I'm just saying to you, these are real tests. Any other question? Oh, it is 20 after 4.
Where do we
my time.
Where do we download the screening questionnaire from, please? Fiona is asking, where do we download the screening questionnaire from?
That's in the folder I sent to you.
I've shared it with them.
All of them, all of those tests are in that folder. Complete.
Okay.
They should see those. They should, if they don't see it, they should. It's 71 pages. If they don't see, no, you don't have to download everything. You can go and select what you want to download just for tomorrow. But you must get the dyslexia screening, the Dolge list of high frequency words, the RAC, all 4 of them. Structural analysis. I'll show you how to administer them. Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I said that the dyslexia screening test is on page 28. They're all in there. They're in the downloads. The dyslexia one is on page 28. That one is on. They are not together. But I think after the reflection log, you have the dyslexia one, and then you just keep them checking. They're all in there. Yeah, they're in there.
And I have just also shared a document with you, especially with the first document he showed with the letters, the cut letters on. I've just shared the new scan for you. So for those of you who contacted and saying it wasn't clear for you, you could look back to these ones and
they were redone. They were redone in the new package.
Do that. So the new pack is what I have sent you as well.
When you go into the original package and you see like a page and you say, okay, that's not clear, just go in just go in this new folder and it's there. You can pull it out from there. Anybody else? Okay, if there are teachers here, I'm sure they're tired, having been in school all day.
for today, any reflection? What have you learned something new? Is there anything you're looking for? Any reflection before we sign off, because we are over time a little bit? Are we tired? It seems like nobody's talking.
It's what time is it now? 8 o'clock in the night?
8:30, yeah, 8:30 almost.
Okay, but for my information, just for my information, I just want to know that we connected today. That's what I need to know.
Okay.
Oh,
Are
I
you
got a
looking at the
I got a
section?
thumbs up from her.
Okay, is it up to your expectation? I mean, we're gonna go more into details. When I looked at the guide she sent, I was like, oh my goodness, this is quite phenomenal. And I hope that you would take it serious and get all that you need to get out of it. And what I like about Dr. Bernard as well is, even after this training and you have very like challenges or issues
Yes.
or situations in your
Yes.
school with a child, with a parent, and you need assistance on how to handle it, she's always available to.
Absolutely.
So let this be a very close community, like a family. Don't see yourself as yourselves as strangers. I'm hoping that by the time we finish this 5 weekend, all of us will know our names and we'll have our contacts, and you can then do follow up with each other. This is the beauty of this.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Dr. Bernard, do you have anything to say before I end the training for today?
No, that's it. I am just hoping that you are able to touch lives. It's work. As I said, it's hard work. You know, who wants to spend their Friday after work, you know, sitting down and going through papers, documents? Who wants to do that? But if you're really serious about helping children, this is the way. I've spent many, many, many weekends training to do this. Took me 2 years training to do this. And I want to tell you something. It was about, I don't know, maybe 14 of us that started. That's years ago. About 14 of us that started, and only 2 of us made it to the end.
Wow.
Only 2 of us made it. And for that year, only 2 persons were certified in the whole of New York.
Wow.
People drop out. Let me tell you right now, people drop out. Why? Unless you have a goal and a motivation and you're saying, hey, this is meeting a need, you're going to think of, oh my goodness, I got to sit with that child again and go over all those phone cards and that. But I tell you something, the knowledge that I have, all the information that I have, you can throw anything at me. You could throw any kid at me. Give me a kid. Just give me a kid. throw the child at me and tell me this child can't read, this child don't know anything. This child is going to drop out of life, and just leave that child with me.
Wow.
Okay. If that's what you want to be, then you're going to push through because there's a lot that you have. As I said, it is hard to do this online. It is so hard. I'm telling you, if we were all in the same room, piece of cake, you know, but we're going to do our best. We're going to make the best of this situation. And that's it. That's it. Fiona, wake up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bernard. And also the good thing is we're recording this. It's not public on YouTube. It's unlisted for you who have signed up for this. So I'm going to share the YouTube link as well. Should you want to watch this again, you can have access to it and rewatch it at your timing. So thank you so much for coming. Please, the timing is very important. Let's show up on time tomorrow.
On time, yeah.
And after tomorrow, we would discuss whether we still will stick with the Fridays. Dr. Bernard said something like that, like, since we become a family, we'll try to find out what works for us. But we're hoping that all of you will not drop out to left with 2, like what Dr. Bernard.
No, we hope not. We hope not.
We'll finish in peace. So thank you very much. Folks. Go have a rest, and we see you tomorrow. Thank you.